You wake up. What's the first thing you do? Reach for your phone. Instagram, emails, news, maybe TikTok. Congratulations, you just torched the most powerful cognitive window your brain produces all day, and you burned it scrolling garbage. Meanwhile, Roger Federer wakes up. No phone. Einstein woke up. No phone. Naval special operators start their day the same way. No phone. Coincidence? No. Science. Your brain, in the 17 minutes after waking, is running on something called hypnopompic theta waves. That's the same state monks spend years meditating to reach. Surgeons prep their hands before cutting. Architects visualize blueprints before touching pencil to paper. Elite operators mentally rehearse the mission before boots hit the ground. They all do it in the same window. The same 17 minutes you're currently flushing down the toilet. I'm going to show you exactly what they do instead. And by the end of this, your mornings will never be the same. Chapter 1. The theta window. Most people think the brain wakes up when they do. Wrong. Your brain wakes up in stages. You already know about REM, sleep, dreams, memory consolidation, the whole thing. But what nobody tells you is what happens right at the edge of waking up. That hazy floating moment between sleep and full consciousness. That's not uselessness. That's theta. Theta brainwaves run at 4 to 8 cycles per second. In theta, your prefrontal cortex, the critic, the judge, the voice that says, "You can't do this," is still offline, not fully booted. And that matters enormously. Because without the critic running, your brain encodes information faster, creates connections more freely, and absorbs new instructions without resistance. It's like RAM before the firewall loads. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has documented how morning light exposure, combined with intentional focus in this theta window, primes dopamine circuits for the entire day. Not caffeine, not motivation. Theta. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who studied over 15,000 people across a decade of workshops, calls this moment the window before the program. Before your conditioned identity fully loads, you have raw access to the subconscious. Athletes who journal or visualize in this window don't just feel better. They measurably perform better. A 2001 study in the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology showed that athletes who spent 15 minutes in mental simulation right after waking demonstrated a 45% improvement in performance consistency compared to those who didn't. 45%. Not by training longer, not by sleeping more, by using 17 minutes they already had. But you grab your phone. Your critic boots instantly. Cortisol spikes from doom scrolling. Theta collapses. Gone. Reset to 0. You just blew your biggest cognitive advantage before breakfast. Here's the problem, though. Even if you know this, putting down the phone isn't enough. Most people who avoid the phone just lie there, staring at the ceiling, being useless. You need a protocol. That's where the second piece comes in. Chapter 2. The preload. Surgeons don't walk into an operating room cold. They preload. They review the procedure the night before. They visualize every cut, every complication, every contingency. The military calls it a rehearsal of concept. Special operations teams will spend more time mentally rehearsing a mission than executing it. Why? Because their brain needs the schema loaded before the stress hits. You are doing the exact opposite every morning. You're context switching immediately, jumping from sleep directly into reactive mode. Your brain has no schema loaded, no direction set. So it defaults to whoever wants your attention first, usually a notification. Here's what the elite do instead. They preload the night before. Before bed, they identify the single most important cognitive task for the next day. One task, not a to-do list. One thing. They write it down. When they wake up, their theta window is already aimed. Their brains spent part of the night building neural scaffolding around that problem. They wake up, pointed. Thomas Edison did this obsessively. He kept notebooks by his bed and would half sleep while holding steel balls over a metal plate. The moment theta deepened enough and he dropped into real sleep, the balls would crash, he'd wake, and write down whatever imagery or solution had surfaced. He called it the hypnagogic state. He filed over 1,000 patents. You file 0 because you're watching reels. Salvador Dali used the same technique. Paul McCartney claims the melody for Yesterday came to him in this half-awake state. This isn't mysticism. It's theta being weaponized. Your version doesn't require steel balls. Write your one question the night before. Stick it somewhere visible. The second you wake up, before the phone, before coffee, before words, you sit with that one question for 10 minutes. Let your theta brain work on it. Journal what comes. It will feel stupid at first. Your prefrontal cortex is judging the process. That's normal. That's the critic half-booting. Push through it. The answers that surface in this window are the ones that stick. But here's the problem, though. You can protect the theta window. You can preload the question, and you will still sabotage yourself. Because there's a third variable nobody talks about. Your first input of the day doesn't just affect your mood. It recalibrates your entire cognitive baseline for the next 12 hours. Chapter 3. The first input rule. Your brain is an input machine. Every piece of information you consume either sharpens or dulls the instrument. And the first input of the day, the very first thing you read, watch, hear, or engage with, sets the cognitive tone for everything that follows. Neuroscientists call this priming. You probably learned about it and forgot it. Here's why it matters more than you think. A Stanford study in 2016 showed that people who read negative news in the morning were 27% more likely to report their day as negative, regardless of what actually happened. 27%. Not because bad things happened, because their brain was primed to find them. Turn that around. People who consumed growth-oriented material, concepts, ideas, problem-solving content, in the first 30 minutes of their day, scored significantly higher on cognitive flexibility tests throughout the afternoon. Their brains were tuned to find solutions because that's the frequency they were initialized on. Elite performers treat the first input like a prescription. Navy SEAL commanders review mission objectives and team strengths first thing. Not news, not social media. Mission parameters. Olympic coaches have athletes review their personal bests, their technical improvements, their strategic advantages before training begins. Not to pump them up, to prime the pattern recognition circuits to look for performance, not failure. You start your day reading about political outrage, someone's drama, a car crash on the highway, and a product you can't afford. Your brain spends the day looking for more of the same, more problems, more threats, more reasons to feel behind. This is not opinion. This is priming, and it's running on you whether you control it or not. The only question is whether you're programming it deliberately or letting the app do it for you. The app's goal is engagement. Engagement means emotional activation. The easiest emotional activations are outrage and anxiety. You're being tuned to those frequencies every morning on purpose by companies who employ the best behavioral scientists in the world specifically to do this to you. Hit subscribe before you forget. We fix this stuff here. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people hear this and immediately think, I'll just replace bad content with good content. I'll listen to a podcast, read a book, watch something educational. Better, but still wrong. The first input shouldn't be consumption at all. It should be production. Output before input. Write before you read. Think before you scroll. Create before you consume. Cameron, one of the most studied creativity researchers in modern psychology, documented in The Artist's Way that writing 3 pages by hand every morning, stream of consciousness, no filter, consistently unlocked creative breakthroughs in people across every discipline. Architects, lawyers, engineers, musicians. Not artists. Regular people. Writing in the theta window before any external input cleared what she called the brain drain, the mental background noise that consumes cognitive bandwidth all day. Flush it first, then load the good stuff. Your version. 3 minutes of longhand writing. What's in your head? What you're worried about? What you're working on? No grammar, no audience, just output. Then, and only then, Your first input. Make it something that sharpens the instrument. Chapter 4. The 17-minute protocol. Here's the whole thing assembled. No fluff, just the system. Night before. Identify one question or problem you want your brain working on overnight. Write it by hand. Place it where you'll see it immediately on waking. Spend 60 seconds reading it before you sleep. Your brain will run it in the background. Minutes 0 to 3 upon waking. Do not touch your phone. Do not speak. Lie still or sit up slowly. Let the theta state linger. This feels uncomfortable at first because you're addicted to stimulation. Stay with the discomfort. Your brain is still working. Minutes 3 to 6. 3 minutes of longhand writing. What's in your head? The question you loaded. Whatever surfaces. Do not edit. Do not judge. Just write. This flushes the drain and captures theta insights before they evaporate. Minutes 6 to 12. Physical activation. Cold water on your face. Brief movement. Morning light if possible. Huberman's research shows that even 2 minutes of morning outdoor light exposure sets circadian rhythm, spikes cortisol at the correct time for alertness, and suppresses it later so sleep quality improves. Not a full workout, just a reset signal. Minutes 12 to 17. First input. Make it intentional. A concept you're trying to master. A skill you're building. A problem relevant to your actual life. 5 minutes of focused, chosen input while your brain is still in high absorption mode. This is not the time for news or entertainment. 17 minutes. That's the protocol. Every Navy officer, every Olympic athlete, every high-functioning CEO who has a morning routine is doing some version of this, whether they know the neuroscience behind it or not. They just noticed it worked. You have been doing the opposite for years. Phone in bed, anxiety spike, cognitive baseline tanked before you've stood up. Here's the problem, though. Even if you nail this protocol every single morning, you're still only optimizing 1 hour of your day. The rest of your day is bleeding productivity in ways you don't see. Most people lose 3 to 4 hours daily to one specific cognitive trap. It operates silently, and it gets worse the smarter you are. That's why I made this video, breaking down the hidden focus killer that IQ studies missed, and the exact method the world's top performers use to shut it down completely. Watch it next.